We are rolling. Are there toxic chemicals in hair dye?
There are toxic chemicals in hair dye. Unfortunately, it's one of the most toxic categories of products that we've researched. Many chemicals of concern linked to cancer, allergies, a whole range of health issues. But recently, just a month ago, the National Institutes of Health came out with a study saying that women who use permanent hair dye had a higher risk of breast cancer. And that was about, I think it was about 6% higher for white women, but they found up to 60% higher for African American women. So I think that's a big red flag about hair dye. And they also, in that same study, found that hair straighteners were linked to higher rates of breast cancer at about a rate of 30%. So intensive hair dyes, hair straighteners are certainly a concern for health.
Are there toxic chemicals in cosmetics?
So there are many toxic chemicals in the whole range of cosmetics. I started researching cosmetics in about 2002, working with a coalition of health and environmental groups in the United States, worked with the Breast Cancer Fund, Environmental Working Group, Friends of the Earth. We decided to look into cosmetics and try to answer that question. What are we putting on our bodies, in our hair, on our faces, in the bathtubs with our children? And we really didn't know at that time. There was no easy way to figure it out. You could look at labels, look up chemicals, but there was no easy way to answer that question. So we set out to try to answer it. And over the years, we did tons of research. We sent hundreds of products to labs to have them tested for chemicals that weren't on the label. And our colleagues at the Environmental Working Group put together the world's largest database of chemicals in cosmetics called Skin Deep. So you could go online and look up, how toxic is my shampoo? So what we found, the bottom line of that research, is there are many chemicals of concern in all sorts of products that we put on our bodies. Chemicals linked to cancer, reproductive harm, lower fertility, skin problems, allergies, asthma, a whole range. And that we were getting exposed to those same chemicals again and again and again and again through various products that we use every day. One finding, for example, we looked at baby products and we analyzed lots of top-selling bubble baths, shampoos, and found that many of them contained carcinogens that weren't listed on the label. We found formaldehyde and 1,4-dioxane. And that was pretty surprising to a lot of moms. And you know, we had a big debate. We put those companies' names out into the world, and they got a lot of pushback, and we were able to make some big changes with companies paying attention to the fact that they did not need to have carcinogens in baby products. And again, you know, a baby developing body in a tub using bubble bath, soap, lotion, diaper creams, all these products in a day, many of them containing chemicals of concern. So babies getting exposed over and over at a time when they're most vulnerable. But the good news that we also found in our research is that it's possible to make those products without the toxic chemicals, and that more and more and more companies were starting to do that. We're figuring out how to make the products work just as well. So we really do not need to have toxic chemicals in beauty products, in baby products. Unfortunately, many of them still do contain them.
Are there toxic chemicals in hair straighteners?
The hair straighteners, yeah, that's also a big issue. As I mentioned, that NIH study found higher rates of breast cancer in women using hair straighteners. There was also a big scandal a few years ago regarding hair straighteners. That's a good example of kind of how the Wild West is in the beauty industry. Nobody's really watching the store. There was a product called Brazilian Blowout that was advertised as formaldehyde-free, and it was very expensive hair straightening treatments. Celebrities were hawking it, and people were having strange reactions to it. One woman lost chunks of her hair, and she actually sent the product to a lab to test it and found out that it was about 10% formaldehyde. So, and that's pretty common in hair straighteners because you need a sort of harsh chemical to break the hair to straighten it, have that straightening effect. And so that commenced then a big issue with people being concerned about this product that was advertised as something it clearly wasn't, containing high levels of a known carcinogen that was also a very potent allergen. And so you can have all sorts of reactions if you're sensitive to formaldehyde, like hair loss or skin problems or quite severe things. So unfortunately, though, there was no way to get that product off the market. It actually is not illegal to sell a hair straightener with a known human carcinogen at 10%. People were surprised about that. The FDA did send a strongly worded warning letter. That was the most they could do. California, the Attorney General, actually Kamala Harris, went after the company under a law that we helped to pass in 2005 called the Safe Cosmetics Act. And she was able to get them to put a warning label, just a warning label, but to stop the false advertising. But it's just an example of how unregulated the beauty industry is and how companies can get away with things that are really not ethical. But again, the bigger problem is the low levels of toxins across all of the products that we use every day.